The title of the talk today being There's No Place Like Home. Alternate title, You've Always Had the Power, My Dear. So, just briefly, I wanted to invite you to think about home. Think about what the word home suggests. And, you know, depending on, I just spent a week with my mom, for instance, and me and her and my sister had lots of really good talks about our childhood, our shared childhood. And so, that's all that stuff. Okay. So, but when we're talking about home in a dharma context, at least for the purposes of this talk, I want to invite you to think about home being the place you go to when your duties are finished, like in the sit we just had. I want to invite you to think about, and this informs a certain way of practicing. I want you to invite you to think about when we sit, instead of trying to manufacture calm or fabricate relaxation or rearrange or change your experience such that I can feel comfortable now. I want to invite you to think about your practice as a homecoming in terms of home being that place where you can just rest, where you can lay it all down. So the two quotes that suggested themselves to me 7 weeks ago or whatever it was were number one, and I'm sure you've had this experience where you hear a saying or a dharma talk or a sutra or a quote, and it kind of like, ooh, it kind of changes you. It's a turning word. It stays with you and shifts how you relate to your experience. So the first of these two quotes is by the Venerable Gil Franz, who is the founding and head teacher at Insight Meditation Center in Redwood City, California. Gil Franz is one of the only people that I know of who has a dual transmission teaching lineage in Soto Zen and Theravada Vipassana coming through very venerable Burmese practice. And that's something I could totally geek out on for an hour and a half, but I won't. The quote that from Gil Franz is, "We do not meditate to enter or touch some mystical or esoteric layer of reality. We meditate to touch and enter into our own precious human life, perhaps for the very first time." End quote. Because why? There's no place like home. If your meditation practice is one in which you are constantly trying to get somewhere, and of course dharma is often presented as a journey, as a path, as a crossing to the far shore, etc., etc. But these are just ways of talking, ways of illustrating that some kind of shift in our experience or awareness or the way we live our life, the way we see ourselves, is possible, optimal, and maybe even necessary. But Gil wants to invite us into the understanding that whoever this person is and whatever this life is always already right there. And the reality that you are invited to touch and enter into and live in, as the Buddha says, abiding in this moment, is already here. And it's not that I need to take it somewhere and put it here, or I need to go from here to there. I need to wake up and come home. The second quote I'm going to read because I don't want to mess it up. This is by the very venerable Kalu Rinpoche, very great Dzogchen master of the previous generation. He says, your natural awareness has 4 faults. It's so close you can't see it. It's so deep you can't fathom it. It's so simple you wouldn't believe it. And it's so good you wouldn't accept it. This natural awareness, this Buddha nature, this Buddha mind, that all the various traditions coming from our great teacher, this awareness that we are invited to touch into, it's invisible to us because it's always right there. And it would be hard to believe, especially when you're in pain, for someone to say, oh yeah, no man, you're already that thing you seek. That thing that you're looking for, it's always been you. You were born as it. You were born with it. There's nothing apart from that. I mean, it's cool to say, but hard to understand, hard to realize for yourself, and then hard to live. This is why it's so valuable in some traditions when they present that awakening is actually the very beginning of the path. And then the whole rest of your life is illuminating that, embodying that, carrying that out, and living that. Okay. So, there's a very powerful sutra in the form of a movie called The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, I really recommend it. It's brilliant, and there's incredible talent in it and beautiful music. And this is like almost at the very end, and maybe I'll just play. So I'm gonna see if I can play and then pause, and because the dialogue, the kind of don't get weird, the kind of it's just the dialogue, but there's like, oh, I know. The dialogue it's very rich. I think it's got a lot in there. So let's see what we got going on. Everybody here is familiar with the basic idea of the Wizard of Oz, right? Dorothy gets stolen from her home. She gets sent to some far-off land. She meets all these strange creatures. She looks for this great and powerful wizard who's going to do the trick for her, who's going to send her home, who's going to give her the power. He's going to teach her the magic technique. He's going to give her that gift such that she can go home at last. He's a fraud. Shocker. Spoiler alert. That never happens in the real world, huh? All right. Let me know if you can't hear the dialogue.
I'm not saying we can hear you, Franz.
Oh, right this very second?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna play it and I'll talk my nonsense. She needs help. She can't do it on her own. Ha ha.
Don't need. Oh, will you help me? Can you help me? You don't need to be helped any longer. You've always had the power to go back to Kansas. I have.
Then why didn't you tell her before?
Because she wouldn't have believed me. She had to learn it for herself.
What have you learned, Dorothy?
Well, I think that it wasn't enough just to want to see Uncle Henry and Annie Ann. And it's that if I ever go looking for my heart's desire again, I won't look any further than my own backyard. Because if it isn't there, I never really lost it to begin with. Is that right? That's all it is.
But that's so easy. I should have thought of it, boy. I should have felt it in my heart.
No, she had to find it out for herself. Now those magic slippers will take you home in 2 seconds. Oh.
Okay. So.
Keep the cares and worries of the day.
No, thank you. All right. So, can you help me get home? You don't need my help. You've always had the power. This is every single, this is every single Dharma talk ever. This is every, thank you kindly. You've always had the power. This is if you're familiar with the koan Nangaku polishes the tile. Teacher and student talking to each other, and the teacher says, "Oh, hey, what are you doing these days? I haven't seen you." And he's like, "Oh, these days I'm just sitting a lot of zazen, practicing a lot." He's like, "Oh, that's great. Why are you doing that?" "I'm going to turn into a Buddha. I'm going to make myself a Buddha. I'm going to attain Buddhahood." And he's like, "Oh, that's so cool. I'll be right back." And he picks up a tile, a rock off the ground, and he starts scrubbing it with another rock. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going to turn this into a mirror. I'm going to make a mirror out of this rock." He's like, "You can't polish a stone and make a mirror." And the teacher's like, "You can't make yourself a Buddha by sitting zazen." That's not how that works. You've always had the power. Otherwise, it wouldn't work in the first place. Our practice is one of subtraction, of letting go, of dropping our habits, of dropping fabrication, of seeing what's blocking us and setting down the burden. And of course, Dorothy's shocked. "I have?" Of course you have. Then why didn't you tell her before? Which is a really good question. Like, what the hell, yo? And different traditions treat this different ways. In a lot of Zen traditions, they won't say such things. They won't talk about enlightenment too much. It's like, yeah, go sit down, shut up, see what happens. I don't want to mess you up thinking about what you think I said about it. In other traditions like Dzogchen, they talk about it all the time. They're shoving at your face. Oh boy. They want to talk the secret out loud such that when you practice, you'll notice it. You'll start to get a flavor for it. And of course, like the Buddha says all through the suttas, it's not the knowing that does it. It's the insight that happens when you see it happen in real time. The way the Buddha's awakening is often related to us, I feel like often obscures what's really important about it. The fundamental, the crux, the heart of the Buddha's awakening wasn't that he was good at sitting or that he was very strong and macho and could sit longer and eat less and whatever. Like the picture we get from some of the suttas is like, oh, so all I have to do is be Superman and then I'll get enlightened. The real magic of the Buddha's awakening experience, his culminating experience, was as follows. The Buddha was able to get himself sufficiently quiet that he could actually watch suffering arise as a thought in his mind stream. And he was sufficiently quiet and non-activated that he could watch it arise, abide, and pop under its own weight like a bubble. He didn't get involved at any point. He didn't fight it. He didn't push it away. He didn't explain why it would be wrong or why. Just didn't even get involved. I know you guys don't, but for me personally, I spend a fair amount of time getting in intellectual battles with my own thoughts. I'm doing this all day. And I've got 100 different ways to fight them. I can fight them on religious grounds. I can fight them on philosophical grounds. What if I didn't? What if I just watched it? That actual experience of being sufficiently quiet, of resting in your easy chair at home, and watching the thought arise, watching the experience arise, and doing nothing. If it's important, it'll still be there. If I'm fabricating something, if I'm making it a problem, it'll disappear the second I drop it. And that actual experience of watching my self-created problems evaporate when I don't feed them is so powerfully liberating. Well, then why didn't you tell her before? She had to learn for herself. And then her companions, well, what did you learn, Dorothy? She thought about it for a time, and this is great too, the reflection. She took the time to reflect. Even with all those munchkins staring at her. And even under the influence of her, just imagine the force of her hunger, her desire to go home. She's like, what did I learn? That's one that I didn't even put in there yet. Every thought, feeling, and sensation we have, we can do a couple things with it. We can believe them. We can take them at their word and, oh, I'm mad, so this made me mad, and this person made me mad, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. Or we can look at it. I can reflect. What is this? What's this about? So she thought for a while, she reflected, and she said, it wasn't enough just to want it. And that's great too. You can't make it happening by desire and hunger. And this is actually, we bring the way we are out there in here. We bring that in here. So maybe that's how we've lived our lives, by intense desire, by struggle and passion, which is great. It's obviously served some of us really, really well, but it might not work here. In the same way, a lot of us get through our lives with powerful aversion, by what's wrong here? What can I fix here? What needs to go? And that's very clarifying and very valuable. Think of like, what's her name, Marie Kondo? But like with a sword, like what needs to go? And the Buddha himself reflected that he was an aversive type. And that's what allowed him, one of the things that allowed him to learn to study, what's the word we're not discover. That's what allowed him to discover the Dharma. He was like, I'm getting rid of this, I'm getting rid of that, I'm getting rid of that, and he found the one thing that didn't get rid of. Awareness. But when you come here, maybe your aversive tendency to constantly try to fix and work with and solve, maybe that won't work here. So then she reflected, if it wasn't enough just to want it, if I go looking for my heart's desire, I'll look at in my own backyard. I'll look at home. And because if I lost it, it was never really here to begin with, which is so deep for whatever year that was in Hollywood. That's so deep. If it's something you can lose, you never had it. It was never yours. The only thing that you cannot lose is your own awareness. You can only not lose what you already are. I can lose this, I can lose this, I can lose my name, I can lose any number of facts as I age. I'll lose my vitality, my hearing, my sight. I'll lose my life. These things aren't me, they're not mine. But that one thing that can never be lost, this Buddha nature, can never be lost because it's you. And it's the only thing that can never be lost. And then, of course, Bodhisattva Glinda, the good witch, says, that's all it is. That's it. It's just that one thing. That Buddha nature. And then the scarecrow, but that's so easy. I should have thought of it. It's not an intellectual game. You can't do it. You can't smart your way into awakening. In fact, for not me, because I'm not that smart, but for people who are smart, they find that a real problem. They can think their way into knots and corners and think their way out of actual experience, because your awareness can't be thought through. And then the Cowardly Lion, if I'm not mistaken, said, and I should have felt it in my heart. It's not even an emotional process. And just briefly, I should have thought of it, and I should have felt it in my heart. If we think of our awakening like, I'm going to get rid of these thoughts that I don't like and substitute it with thoughts that I do like, or I'm going to get rid of my bad thoughts and put in good thoughts, or I'm going to get rid of my bad feelings that I don't like and put in good feelings. That's not how that works. Good feelings come, bad feelings come. Good thoughts come, bad thoughts come. Our awareness, this one thing, our true home, our true refuge, Kansas in this case, is the open, infinitely hospitable awareness that is never absent, that does not pick sides. Everyone in this room, everyone on Zoom, think of a thought that you've had that is, you would be, like, think of the most murderous anger or rage you've ever felt. Just tap in there for a second. Or think of the most awful thing you've ever thought of. Where is it now? It's just a thought. It's just a feeling. The ancients talked about awareness like a mirror. The mirror doesn't hold a grudge. You don't paint the mirror. If I make a terrible face at a mirror and then I smile at it, the smile isn't tainted by the terrible face, and vice versa. The mirror simply reflects with perfect faithfulness whatever arises within it. That's your awareness. This is why you can look at something terrible, you can look at something beautiful. You can be furious with someone and have your whole body, mind mobilized and full of adrenaline and ready to whatever, and then you're like, oh. And you just see something that changes your whole mind about it. Like, I don't know, because driving is my go-to, you know, somebody's driving terribly in your neighborhood and you're like, this person's an awful person, and I invent this whole picture about them. And then I see it there, like, I don't know, racing to get to the hospital. And instantly you're like, oh, okay. Or like, have you ever done a thing, have you ever been in your house and been like, who the hell put this here and left this mess? And you're like, oh, that was me last night. I was too tired. And then it instantly evaporates. Where's all that anger now? So, you know, filling your mind with good thoughts, with good feelings, with happy feelings, that could be part of your Dharma practice, but it's not that you will have that one good thought or that one good feeling or that one powerful insight, and that's going to change everything, and that'll be your awakening. Your awakening will be coming home, resting in and as that vast luminous awareness that you have always already been. That's Kansas. All right. For Dorothy. So just briefly, if you've been, to kind of close, if you've been here, if you've been lucky enough to be here when Tim Callahan has taught, you might have chanted the Heart Sutra. And you may have heard the mantra at the end of the Heart Sutra. And there's all kinds of translations to these kind of poignant, mysterious Sanskrit sounds and words. I want to offer you my favorite alternate translation of the Heart Sutra mantra. Gone, 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 attained the other shore, to beyond the other shore, having never left. Remember the master and student who are on opposite sides of the river, and the student calls across to the master, "Master, how do I get to the other side?" And the master says, "Oh, my child, you're already on the other side." So I want to invite you to remember two things. There's no place like home. And even that's a little koan. Home is not a place. This vast luminous awareness is not limited by time, space, or circumstance. The Buddha said it is akaliko, outside of time, sanditiko, outside of readily apparent, not dependent on condition, ehipasiko, inviting you in, opanayiko, leading ever onward. That's how your mind actually is. That is your Buddha nature, your Buddha mind. And I want to invite you to remember, you've always had the power, my dear. If awakening, if enlightenment was something that you had to manufacture, you could sit for 1 billion years and never get it. Luckily for you and me, awakening, nibbana, bodhi, anuttara samyak sambodhi, is the unfabricated, the unconditioned, the uncompounded, the deathless.
Hi, my name's Tim. It's the generosity of people like you that make these videos possible. If you had some benefit from the video and feel an urge to donate, you can make a donation here. If you're interested in seeing more because you're curious, you can click here and see more videos. And if you're interested in subscribing to Long Beach Meditation, you can click here. Thank you so much for your attention. Take care.